Good afternoon and welcome everyone to this little information meeting about what the pirates are in Iceland and in Reykjavík for the upcoming municipal election in Reykjavík city. We have been, as you probably know, a political party in Iceland since... This doesn't work apparently. We are an anti-authoritarian party. We are focused on democracy, human rights, transparency, and an open multicultural society. This is the sort of core of what we do. Originally, the Pirate Party was formed in Sweden in response to controversies surrounding online surveillance, and from there it rapidly spread across Europe, got seats in the European Parliament, and in Iceland there was a local chapter started in 2012, got elected to Alþingi in 2013, and we got elected to the Reykjavík City Council in 2014. We have diverged a little bit from the international pirate movement or the European pirate movement, though we keep to the same general core of anti-authoritarian, direct democracy and anti-corruption message. We have, for example, taken a strong stance on getting the new constitution, on fisheries rights, and sort of making sure that the population of the country owns the rights to the fisheries. And we have always fought for systems reform, more direct democracy, fighting corruption. In welfare services, we are all for harm reduction and decriminalization. We have a strong environmental policy and a policy against global climate change. We have a fair and equitable immigration policy, and we are one of the very few parties in Iceland that did not abandon our focus on multiculturalism in the 2024 election. And we feel that this is a really important message and a stance to take, especially when there is such an authoritarian backlash in the world. We feel like this cannot be allowed to go on that way, and we are not backing off from this. At our core, we are an anti-fascist, anti-authoritarian, pro-democracy movement, and that's what we're going to focus on. Now, our city council team. Currently, we have we got 3 members of the city council elected in 2022. That's up from 2 members in 2018. That was up from 1 member in 2014. Those members who are currently in the city council are myself and Magnús Davíð Nordal. We did lose one of our members due to unforeseen complications, but we also have 2 very active deputy members. Okta Guðrúnar Jóns and Kristinn Jón Ólafsson, who is also our current leading candidate. Personally, I am head of the Reykjavík City Executive Council and head of Strætó BS. Kristinn is head of the Reykjavík City Area Marketing team and a member of several councils, especially the Digital Council, Sports and Culture, and also the Schools and Leisure Council. Let's see. On a local level, we have put a lot of emphasis on dramatically improving services through digital transformation. And there was some initial cost. We did this during COVID when we needed more infrastructure investment to keep sort of the economy going. And one of the things we wanted to do was do investment that would lead to better services and would save on costs later on. And we are certainly seeing that pay off now. From only around 30 projects, we are seeing a cost reduction of over 1 billion kroner a year. That is incredibly important, and we are only going to see more dividends from that. That gives us more money to spend on welfare services, on schools, and everything else that we want to do. So investment in digital infrastructure, it does pay off. We also put a lot of emphasis on better public transport. Now we have, in a lot of the areas of the city and a lot of the routes, a 10-minute interval between buses in the busiest times, 15 minutes for most of the others, and we have lengthened the operating times for the buses. We are also party to the capital city area transportation agreement. That's going to lead to the city line. That is also improving cycling paths. It is also leading to some roads and multi-layer intersections improvements. So improving transport, public infrastructure and public transit is one of our main focuses. We have a human-centric city planning policy and that's focused on green spaces and increasing urban density to reduce traffic and make better use of infrastructure. We are focused on improving governance and transparency to make sure that proper rules are followed, that there isn't individual discretion in spending from politicians, that things are by the book. That's one of our main focuses. We have had a lot of success in that. We have added a lot of transparency since we joined the City Council in 2014. We aim to continue to do so and to fight against any backslides in that area. We are in favor of more direct democracy through active citizen participation, hearing from people, having meetings, getting people to the table to find solutions together through, for example, neighborhood organization and how we plan neighborhoods. We also have the city lift or the neighborhood lift. That is a new project that is going on. That is going to sort of focus how we improve each neighborhood so we can spend more money in one neighborhood at a time and then move between neighborhoods over the years instead of spreading ourselves thin every year. This is going to be presented more thoroughly in the coming weeks before we finish this term, I would hope. We are focused on harm reduction in welfare services, including housing first and a trauma-informed service policy. Digitalization of welfare services and in schools is very important to save on costs, to improve services, shorten waiting times, and to make sure our services are done in a way that benefits the user and not necessarily the system. We are also focused on innovation and creative solutions. We've put a lot of emphasis on that in recent years, and we are also seeing dividends in that. More on the local level. We have robust housing construction along the axis of the City Line transit systems. That is the most realistic way to reduce housing prices and to try to make sure everybody has the option of buying a new home. Any other methods that would address the demand side, such as more loans or trying to put an artificial limit on housing prices or something like that, it's never going to do what we actually need to actually increase the supply of housing. And that's what we need to do. More supply of affordable, but also quality housing. That's what more density will lead us to. We are doing co-housing projects. There are 2 pilot programs now that have been approved, one in Breiðholt and one in Laugardalur. That's going to be very interesting. We have had a strong increase in social housing by félagsbústaðir and recently approved putting 2.5 billion krónur over the next 5 years or maybe 4 years into félagsbústaðir to improve their financial situation and to enable them to buy more housing faster to shorten the waiting lists. That's important. We are going to ensure that school children don't pay to use public transit while they are of primary school age. That is important. We foresee finishing that in May once we have had the sort of schema for it from the mayor's office. We have also increased bus services, as I went over earlier. That reduced times between, that is increased frequency, reduced waiting times, and we are planning the city line, which would have dedicated lanes all over the Reykjavík city area. That is the best way to improve transport usage, and that is the best way to reduce traffic. We are currently seeing an increase of 60 to 70 cars on the roads every week. That is way too much. No amount of more lanes or more multi-level intersections is going to enable us to deal with this increase in the long run. We must get more people to use public transit or to walk or to bike or to use bikes. That's the only ways that we can reduce traffic in the city in the long term. We can also do this by increasing density. If more people live close to the dense areas, then we have services and schools within walking distance that reduces the number of car rides that go into the system every day. It all works together. We are also thinking about how we can shift more employment to the eastern part of the city, and more housing to the western part of the city to reduce the number of people who have to drive back and forth every day. So we have implemented contactless payments in public transportation. We have agreed and will be implementing a digital city card for museums, swimming pools, petting zoo, and the warm water beach in Nauthólsvík. We have strengthened native language learning through several initiatives, such as Móðurmál, and we are party to Betri borg fyrir börn, with Better City for Children, which is part of Farsældarlögin in a way, but our implementation specifically was recently awarded at a really big tech expo in South Korea a couple of years ago. We reduced the process from 27 paper forms to sort of one interactive sheet in our online system. It really improves the times and shortens the waiting times and makes the job of psychologists and psychiatrists a lot easier. Let's see. On a local level, we have also been focused on creating a walkable downtown area, more streets for walking, added pavements, removing traffic from some of the main walking streets. We have seen a huge increase in and improvement in bicycling paths in the city. We have been running a queer youth center for the greater Reykjavík area. We have, from our inception, had a really strong emphasis on human rights. That is one thing we are not backing away from. Hang on. Af hverju græjan að slökkva á mér? And we have implemented a service policy, and emphasizing service that meets the needs of the users and not the system, where the services have been redesigned ground up to see where the bottlenecks are, where the waiting times are, where the expenses are coming from, and how we can shorten waiting times and focus on the user experience. That has been extremely successful, and we are seeing much improved services. The digital transformation in these services has also been extremely important. In the end of the last term, we saw a reduction in waiting times for people waiting for subsistence assistance from the city. The waiting times went down from 2 weeks to around two days. And people can apply for that assistance any time of the day and not just during opening hours. That is a huge improvement. We have several other operational improvements in the city's internal systems and operations that I'm not going to go into in detail, but you can believe me when I say that they have massively improved operating times, reduced costs, and we're going to see added benefits from that in the months and years to come. And I might even believe that now I am done. So there will be a Q&A section, so if anybody wants to ask me anything, that is now going to be possible. I seem to have messed up the display. I'm not going to waste my time on that. So, are there any questions, comments, jokes, insults? Yes, you there at the back.
There are, like in the polls, there is like a huge number of people that are saying that they're going to elect the Pírata people. What kind of people are these people? Do you know?
The people who would vote for us?
Yes.
I would say the people who would vote for us are idealists.
They are saying that in the phone now.
Oh.
But who are they?
I think they are idealists. I think they are people who think things can be better. Yeah. I think they are people who want to see a better world. I think they are people who believe in democracy, who believe in equity and equality, who want to have an open society, who see the rise of fascism, who see the anti-LGBTQ plus wave and want to fight it. There are the people who believe that we can have a modern city, the people who believe we can have actual, real modern transport infrastructure, who believe we can have a city that we would be proud to live in. We have really done a lot of good things in the past 12 years for the city. It's comparing the city between now and 2014, is difficult because there have been so many changes. Obviously, we are not the only ones responsible for that. We have been a part of many great coalitions, and I really see that a lot of people in the city council are really doing their best, and they're great idealistic people. But I do think we have something special. We have this idealism, we have this faith in a future that we want to see happen. We have this adamant will to never allow our principles to be compromised. And I think people see that, and I think that's why people still trust us to make these tough decisions for them. Other questions?
What is like your favorite thing that you did and have done in city council? Like what you're most proud of?
Okay, so what I'm most proud of in the city council, well, if I were answering just what is most fun, it would probably be when we hand out awards to the preschools and the schools and the after-school frístundaheimili. But what I'm probably most proud of is my part in the transport agreement that we have with the state, because it's so difficult. There was so much time that went into the professional laying out of it at first, then getting all 6 municipalities together, then getting the government in, finding a compromise that worked for everybody, getting everyone on board, renegotiating it when we needed to figure out how costs would be split, and planning everything. It's a huge undertaking. It is the most important thing we are doing for the city, and it must not be allowed to fail, because it's taken 10 years or more than that. If it's allowed to fail, people will never put in the effort again to make something this big and this idealistic work. So that's maybe what I'm most proud of. But I am also incredibly proud to have been the first trans woman to be the speaker of the Reykjavík City Council, and the first trans woman to be deputy mayor of Reykjavík City. I'm also proud of everything we have done in welfare services and harm reduction. That is incredibly important. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You over there.
What are the requirements to vote in the municipal elections as a non-Icelandic citizen?
That is a good question. You have to have lived here, I think it's now for 3 years. Yeah, you have to have lived here legally for 3 years if you are not an Icelandic citizen.
It's lived in Iceland.
Yeah, lived in Iceland, yeah. And it's possible, it's still slightly shorter if you come from Scandinavia, but I think they've...
I happen to know the answer. If you're from a Nordic country, you can just vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there is no waiting time if you're from the Nordics, but otherwise it's 3 years. So yeah. So I would encourage everyone to vote. Even if you're not going to vote for us, I would still encourage you to vote. But obviously, I would recommend voting for us. I think we're great. Are there further questions? Yeah, one more from...
Maybe I'm asking stupid questions. So there are 4 weeks until the elections. So
The elections will be on May 16th.
May 16th. So
That is approximately, what, 5 weeks?
5 weeks.
It's exactly 5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. So I think we will conclude this Q&A now. Thank you all for showing up and for taking an interest. I hope to see you all in the election as it proceeds. And of course, I hope you all vote. Go Pirates!